Hey y'all, welcome back to the party. It is me, your Britt Reacts, and today we're going to react to the Jubilee debate that is currently going viral. And this is not the first Jubilee debate, but this one is really doing some numbers. This is Amanda Seales versus 20 Black conservatives, which should be good. All right, so what we're going to do is just react to some of the shorts on the Jubilee page because for whatever reason, I get copywritten, I get blocked anytime I react to Jubilee. So if you're seeing this, we made it through the fire, the trenches, and they let this stand. But I'm going to try this in effort to react to what I'm assuming are some of the highlights if Jubilee has it on their page. All right, we're going to jump right into it and start with the first reel. What are they called on YouTube? Shorts. And the title is Amanda Seales calls out Supreme Court on this week's #surrendered, #Supreme Court, #debate.
You're suggesting that it was okay for slaves' bodies to not only be used for labor, but also used to empower those who are harming them to be fairly represented in government?
I think it's absolutely, they should have been used, period.
Okay,
I think it was
so then we agree on that.
Yeah,
so we agree on that.
It was absolutely abhorrent. There's no excuse for it. There's no justification for it.
Where's the argument? Because ultimately, when there was an opportunity.
Okay, this says Supreme Court made a number of decisions that hindered racial equality during Reconstruction. That includes the infamous Plessy versus Ferguson separate but equal decision, which allowed for segregation.
In Reconstruction, for there to be equality and humans considered in a real way and protected,
Democrats torched it. Andrew Johnson.
Yes.
Oh, that man went back way back in history.
That's actually more important. What we have to acknowledge. The Supreme Court torched it. The Supreme Court has actively, throughout this entire existence of this nation, been at the forefront of impeding any advancement. And it ends up sending us back over and over and over again because it doesn't have term limits. Because it is. It doesn't have term limits. You know, it's not elected. It's appointed. And ultimately, they have made it abundantly clear that they pick and choose when it's the states that are going to have rights and when they're going to be in a federal position of.
Oh, I agree with that big time. I agree with that cherry picking big time. Big time, I agree with that.
Precedence.
Well, that has to do with the supremacy clause. So the supremacy clause is when a federal law is in conflict with the state's law. The federal law will override. For example, in California, weed is legal, right?
But federally,
it's not. So they can come down here and they could say, hey, we're going to raid all these places, and they would be completely in line with the law.
And so this is how segregation and discrimination ended up existing even after the civil rights laws of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were passed, because Congress said we need to protect Black people, and the Supreme Court said we actually are not going to give you the right to do so. For what it's worth, I think we can do this back and forth all day, but at the end of the day, I will completely agree with you. Black people need to let the Democrats go. I think Black people need to let both of these parties go and figure out a way to move forward together in our own nation.
You know what? I can actually
in our own nation, all right.
Because, you know, I don't believe that all Republicans are, you know, good and not using us as well.
Power
I agree with that. I agree with that. And
let's sing a duet.
I'm for no matter
Kumbaya.
what color skin you are or Black, whatever it is, think for yourself.
So Amen. Amen. Okay. When I say that Amanda Seales goes viral once a month, let's be clear. And she is a hot topic. She has hot takes. And for a lot of people, she can be triggering. She can be divisive, especially in my experience watching Black people respond to her. You either love her or you hate her. You either agree with her or you don't. Here's what I respect about Amanda Seales. She stands 10 toes down. And you have to respect anyone who believes what they believe and cannot be shaken, because I think that is such a huge... We're a nation full of followers. We follow whatever social media tells us to follow. We follow whatever whoever tells us to follow. And like this man said at the end, we need to break free and think for ourselves and think for how we live, how we want to live, how we want our children to live, instead of stop thinking, especially in the Black community, how we're told we're supposed to live and or how we're supposed to vote or what we're supposed to believe. This is a really big problem in the Black community. I've talked about it over and over and over again. I was raised I never had a sit down conversation with anyone telling me this is how we vote. But I was just raised, it was like an unspoken understanding thing that Black people vote for Democrats. And that is so problematic. There's so many layers to how problematic that is. All right, I started to see clips all over the internet and immediately just kept closing out my phone because I knew I wanted to react to this with you guys. I think this was a great way for them to start because this seemed like a very amicable part of the debate where they agreed on things. Basically saying neither party is for anybody. Let's be clear about that. And we should all just be trying to break free from everybody. And I think Tom McDonald is a champion for that. I've reacted to a ton of his music basically saying like it should be us against them instead of us against us, but it's us against us until the majority of us, and that's not just Black people, I think the majority of us as a nation wake up and stop being followers. There's too many of us just willing to follow blindly based off of a color, red or blue, based off of a party, Democrat or Republican, based off of so many things. And it's like, no. So, all right, this was a great first clip. Let's move on to the second one. Oh, this is the one I've been seeing, this gentleman right here. And again, I've been stopping myself from watching them, but I've seen his face all over. So this one is titled, Amanda Seales addresses Black culture in this heated debate. Hashtag surrounded, hashtag culture, hashtag debate. And we just talked about Black culture, hood culture specifically, because I think a lot of people, when they think Black culture, they immediately think about hood culture. That's not all it is. But we were just talking about this in the video of me reacting to my cousin, Mr. L. Boyd, reacting to Nick Fuentes' rant about Black people and Black culture.
I refuse to embrace a victim mentality because that's not what our grandparents and Harriet Tubman and those people fought for. They fought for
Do not bring up
She's
Harriet
frustrated. She's
Tubman's
frustrated.
name in vain, baby. Please.
They said the Lord's name in vain.
Harriet
The
Tubman,
Lord's name.
Harriet Tubman was literally saving her family and others from slavery.
Yeah. You know who helped her? White people.
You know who helped her?
They were on the Underground Railroad saying, come on in,
No, you know who helped her?
Come on in.
No, you know who helped her?
God and
people who benefit from white supremacy. One of the things
It's a lie. White supremacy is a lie.
No, sir,
It's
that's
a
simply
lie.
not
There's
true.
no-
If that were not the case, then we wouldn't see the continued effort of colonialism and white people placing themselves in positions of power when they do not have the power.
Because their culture, Black culture is toxic. The Black culture is toxic. We have produced a culture that is toxic. And let's get on the fact that there's no fathers in the Black home. Let's talk about that.
Stop.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about
that. None of this is gonna work if y'all are just gonna sit here and make up shit.
It's
not gonna work. No, a debate has to be in facts.
You're putting off emotional liberalism right now.
I am not putting off emotional liberalism. You're putting off unfounded lies based in conservatism.
Misinformation. Remember they did the misinformation thing all summer where everything conservative did. They said misinformation.
You're carrying a chain around your neck of an apartheid nation that actively wants to harm Black people and non-Jewish people. But let me bring it back. Let me bring it back.
I refuse to embrace.
Wow. Okay. Where the first gentleman felt very intentional in what he was saying and he was willing to meet her somewhere and he's super educated. This guy, it's interesting that he calls her emotionally liberal, whatever, because it feels like he was just there to put on a show. I can't speak to the statistical facts of what he said, but I would love the narrative of there are no Black fathers to stop. Because now more than ever, Black men are standing up. Now more than ever, the Black nuclear family is showing up. And I think statistically, if you read the right numbers, the real numbers, it'll show you that is trending up. Is it a fact that in the Black community there has been a lack? I am a product of a deadbeat, absentee father. I am absolutely a product of that. Do I look like or speak like or behave like someone that you would attribute to being fatherless? So I just want us to, like, as Black people, stop subscribing to it, but as a nation also stop subscribing to it, because it's no longer the absolute truth and excuse, if you ask me, to like point blame at what's going wrong in the Black community. Is it a factor? Sure. There's a lot of factors. The Harriet Tubman thing was kind of wild because it's like, absolutely white people helped her along the way by housing her, sheltering her, giving her meals and stuff along the way. But it feels like he wants to completely, and this is off the context of this 60-second reel, so I could be very wrong, and I'm okay with that. But it feels like he wants to make sure that the white people are giving credit apparent to how Amanda responded. Like, what? Do I think white supremacy exists? I think there are absolutely groups of people who believe in all of the ideals of white supremacy. They literally have names, and they literally scream it from the mountaintop. So I'm not sure why this is. I mean, there are people who believe in it. I feel like white supremacy is something you have to subscribe to. I don't subscribe to white supremacy. I don't. The only supreme being to me is the God that I serve. I don't know about that. But there are people who believe that white people are the superior race. So I don't know. All of that was just a lot. That was like a lot. And you could see Amanda's frustration. She is definitely, in my opinion, and someone of extreme beliefs a lot of times. That's just my opinion. I can't even tell you on which side, because some days I'm like, huh, and some days I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, so this just felt like a triggering emotional response, and no one's going to win in this conversation because he feels like he's there to put on a show, and she feels like she's already frustrated. And if you've seen any other interview with her, when she gets frustrated, you might as well just walk into a brick wall, child. She's
I'm gonna let you speak, but let's not get the attitudes and stuff, because you my sister and
let's not get the attitudes and stuff. This one gives, we're gonna just stamp it, angry black woman, because why are we even going there? Do we have to? You're my sister. Let's not have the attitude and stuff. Anytime someone of female descent or melanated female descent gets a little passionate, it always is immediately an attitude. And that's another black one. And that's not white on black, orange on black, yellow on black. This is clearly two black women, but if she's fired up, that's one thing. If she's passionate, that's one thing. If she's angry, that's one thing. If she has an attitude, that's one thing. But I think sometimes we have to stop saying people have an attitude because we don't like the way they're saying something or their tone has changed. It's not always attitude. Maybe Amanda's just sticking up for herself. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she does have an attitude. But I just felt like I needed to.
I'm going to let you speak, but let's not get the attitudes and stuff, because you my sister.
Also, because you're using your hands. So someone else can immediately say, don't put your hands in my, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't like when people like immediately categorize something. Like, you talk with your hands. Does that make you an attitude-y woman?
Respect you. So
I don't have an attitude. I'm being direct to you.
But how you domestic violence, women or men or even attack, what is the first thing we say? It's like, you know what? It's not your what? It's not your fault. So that's what we do. We hold on to this narrative that, well, it's not our fault, and the issues in our community are not our fault, and the white man needs to give us something. The old white lady down the street is looking at me, and I don't know why she got braids in her hair. And we focus on all these other stupid things that don't matter. We don't get to the root of the fact that we're killing each other at a higher rate than any other race. It is self-hatred amongst us. I believe that we can do that. That my cousin, my mom's cousin, excuse me, coming from the church parking lot, and guess who stuck her up and robbed her at gunpoint? A black man.
I need you to get to the point.
Like,
so
my point is that, no, and I'm not trying to be funny, unless like you said, we're gonna keep it respectful.
Yeah, but you're monopolizing the whole conversation. And
I'm not trying. Okay, I'm gonna let you speak, but let's not get the attitudes and stuff, because you're my sister and I respect you. So
I don't have an attitude. I'm being direct to you.
But
you're literally speaking this.
Which one of you feels has the attitude? Honestly speaking, Amanda can't even. I'm just saying, one seems to have more of an attitude than the other.
And you're not going to do that with me either. Okay. So you're stating your point, and you've been stating your point for quite some time.
So you have a reason for me to respond.
So now you're teaching her.
That's a better response. Go ahead.
The response that I have for you is that everything you're saying does not exist in a vacuum. I actually agree with you in that, yes, there has been an incredible denigration of Black worth and Black pride in this nation. I think it's also very important to acknowledge what has contributed to that. And to state that it is only Black people that have contributed to that is a false flag. So we have to admit that. So in order to have this conversation around how we got here, you can't say, oh, well, we're caring about the white woman getting braids and that doesn't matter and this thing. All of that attaches. All of that is actually a very big part of the lack of worth of Black people.
I'll ask you, do you think we're resilient? What does resilience mean to you? Do you think we have to be perpetual victims, or do you think that Black people are resilient?
I think that those are two different conversations.
Yeah,
I think because I think that
the
concept of Black people being victims is really trying to not provide accountability to where the root problem for the actual cause is. And if we keep saying that somebody is a victim and that doesn't mean that the other person should have to actually have accountability, then what are we really doing?
Right.
I'm gonna let you speak, but let's not get that.
One literally had nothing to do. Okay, this one just kind of was a lot of nothing, honestly. So I think we're gonna move on. But yeah, listen, Amanda couldn't even say anything, so I don't know how she had an attitude. And this one didn't even want to let Amanda respond. She just, you know what I mean? So I think she expected Amanda to have an attitude, and so she came in on the defense, which then doesn't make her look that great. And she probably doesn't have a bad attitude. All right, moving on.
Do not cut me off.
Oh.
When we...
I'm gonna let you...
Oh!
Do not cut me off. When we talk about systemic racism, we can...
Okay, this fun fact, or fact check, says redlining is the practice of denying mortgages to those who live in neighborhoods considered risky. Lenders targeted Black and immigrant communities in urban areas. The practice was outlawed in 1968. The title of this one says Amanda Seales debates the effects of redlining. Same hashtags.
Start with even the fact that redlining, which was implemented to discriminate Black communities, are you shaking your head that redlining doesn't exist?
No, I'm saying I don't think it really existed at all. I mean, no, I don't think so at all.
So it does exist, and stating that it doesn't exist doesn't make it no longer exist.
Right.
Redlining absolutely exists. It is not something that's being made up. It's an empirical fact. And there are realities that exist because of redlining. We know that school systems are related to the way that property taxes are affecting the school systems. If a school system is not getting the same property value as the property taxes allow it, then it's not going to have the same efficacy at allowing for students to be able to get what they deserve. When we talk about systemic racism, we have to acknowledge that these private prisons are literally built based on the test scores of school students in 3rd grade. So if you are literally building prisons with the
while there is a direct correlation between literacy and education levels and incarceration rates, the claim that prison planners use that data to build prisons has been debunked. Okay, so they are dropping facts both for and against what Amanda's saying, and I appreciate that. I honestly, if I'm being completely transparent, have never heard of the term redlining. I've heard of what it means, and if Jubilee is actually fact checking, then it does mean that redlining was something and it was outlawed in 1968. Is it still happening? Possibly, probably. But what she's saying right now, they're saying has been debunked. So just to be clear.
Concept of, okay, if these people are not reaching a certain reading level, then we know that they're going to go down a prison industrial pipeline or we can use their free labor. Then how is that not systemic? And if you want to
stop them from entering prisons.
How are you going to stop people from entering prisons if your goal is to get them into prison?
Sure, make them try to be more like Ben Carson than be like King Von. That's very, very simple.
So how does King Von happen? How does King Von happen?
King Von.
Those are such extreme. I didn't think I was going to agree with Amanda as much, honestly. I really am like, and I don't know if I agree with what she's saying more than y'all know I like someone who presents the facts and is willing to agree with people or disagree and say, hey, I'll go, whatever. But the comparison, or using Ben Crump and King Von is two extremes of where Black men could have gone in their lives. I will say King Von didn't have as many years as Ben Crump on this earth. Who knows who King Von would have been if he was still alive. But I get what this young man is saying. I get why, but I'm just like, whoa, those are such extreme in cases of two men who I don't know what their upbringings have in common. All I can assume is that we're just talking about two Black men. Do you know what I mean? But I am of the belief that Von's environment and Von's upbringing could have absolutely affected the termination of his life, and same as Ben Crump's. That's my belief. Doesn't have to be yours.
Reparations. Actually, no, let me land the plane. Yeah. We're talking about reparations, and what you're doing is actually just trying to get this conversation off the facts. And the fact is, reparations are just and necessary because on a basic level, Black people built this country and the country continues to thrive off of the labor that Black people put into this country. And it would behoove you, young man, to really
I love that
understand
word,
the way that your ancestors put blood, sweat, and tears into this nation that is still living off of those blood, sweat, and tears. And let me also add, there are reparations and then there is remunerations. Do you know the difference?
Yes, but can I finish one point that I wanted to say?
Question.
Ben Carson's cousins were killed at a very young.
I'm so sorry. You've been voted out by the majority. Okay. Please return to your seat.
Ooh, child, they raised the flags on him.
I hope some of y'all are acting. I really do. We in LA, and I hope some people in here are acting. Do not cut me off.
Here's what I will say. So many of the titles of videos I've seen have said like Amanda crashed out or she lost. She seems to be holding her own in this conversation. I can't imagine knowing every fact is true and going into this situation, being against 20 people. I didn't realize Jubilee allows the majority to vote you out if they don't like the points you're making. This young man seems wildly undereducated and he really just wanted to make one point. And maybe he idolized is Ben Crump and maybe that's who he idolizes. I don't know. I don't know enough about this conversation and where it started or where it ended, I think, to add any valuable contribution. I also don't know if I believe we are owed reparations. I would prefer just overall more help to the underserved Black communities and more desire to, give funds where funds are needed than reparations. But I don't know, whatever. I also don't know the difference between the reparations and the other things that she was saying. I wish we could have got to that. Someone give me the definition of the other one in there. His smug smile, he has a slappable face. You ever seen someone who's got a slappable face? I'd slap the crap out of this one if he smiled at me and I was having a serious, this is like when my 10-year-old and I'm talking to her and she's like, girl, fix your face. I wouldn't really slap him, but he does have a slappable face. Oh, all right. This one says, excuse me, guys. I'm still suffering. This one says, debater comes back for more against Amanda Seales. Oh, it is a race to the seat?
We cool now?
We good. We good. I think we Why? Because to your point, there's community. There's a sense of pride about, you know what, I got to go honor my parents back in Nigeria. I'm part Nigerian. I have to go honor my parents. I have to go honor my elders. They're not twerking and shaking booty. They're getting
They are literally twerking and shaking booty in Nigeria.
The Nigerians I know ain't doing it.
They literally are. Nigerian, have you ever been to a Nigerian wedding? I've been to several. It is a part of their culture. There's so many ritualistic and cultural dances that require the movements of your hips and your backside. The intention, let's be clear, may be very different than that of the club in Atlanta, Georgia. But the movement is very much a cultural, ritualistic, upheld thing in countries like Nigeria, Liberia, all these things. The women's body is a part of that. So are they both right? Sure.
From Africa.
They're doctors twerking and shaking booty, so maybe they can shake because they got the money to back it up. But do you see what I'm saying? But do you see what I'm saying, though? We have to be honest, Amanda. When Indians come here,
as a fellow daughter of an immigrant, right? So my mother's from Grenada. My mother did come here and was able to work and was able to get green cards for folks. So shout out to my mom. There's a very big difference in growing up somewhere and coming from a place where you are the majority and where your people are running the show than being somewhere where your people have been subjugated the entire time your people have been here.
But your mama came here and she wasn't the majority, so how did she succeed?
She succeeded because she came here with that fortitude of coming from a place.
Her resilience, right?
No, but
and she had her village.
Let me say what I'm saying.
Okay, I'll let you unpack.
If we don't acknowledge divide and conquer in the United States, we are having a pointless conversation.
I agree.
We have to acknowledge that there is a concerted effort at divide and conquer in the United States. We're literally watching it happen right now with an effort to divide and conquer and have Black people fighting immigrants and have Black people saying that immigrants don't matter.
And so fighting white people.
White people is not the point. The concept of white people is about people who are upholding a supremacy of whiteness versus people who understand that there should be an egalitarianism. There should be an equality.
That we are becoming the new white supremacists.
We are.
We've been putting them on a pedestal.
We are.
We feel like we can't do anything.
No, it's not that we're putting them. It's not that we're putting them on a pedestal. It's that we are joining them and instead weaponizing our Blackness against our people. When we do what you're saying, we are saying, I am better because I figured it out, and so you're the problem because you didn't figure it out.
But Amanda, what about if I believe that the American dream is, I have a right to that as well? Is that me joining white people, or is that me saying, you know what, I want a life for my dream? The American dream for me, because it may look different from other people. Some people it's a boss chick. For me, I want my kids to grow up in a wonderful neighborhood. I want them to go to college. I want to have a 401k. I want to do this. I want to do that. So I feel like a lot of times in the Black community, we associate anything that's right or that's just or that's striving forward with whiteness. So when you say that we're working with them,
it's whiteness, it's capitalism. And I think that's what we have to understand the difference of. The concept of capitalism always is grounded in exploitation.
The flags. That one was a mouthful. That one
and how long are we going?
Was a lot. Ooh, all right. I'm going to let y'all fire up in the comments about that one. That one was a lot. That one was a lot. Listen, I don't think anyone can take away from Amanda that she is an educated woman. She has dedicated her life. This woman is an actress. She's a pretty good actress, if you ask me. She's not the best, but I've watched something, and she's been in the industry for a long time. So the fact that she has kind of dedicated herself to this cause, whether you agree with her or not, I just, again, think you can applaud anyone who is fighting their fight and only trying to do it for the good. I don't think she means any harm. Again, whether you agree with her or not is not what I'm talking about here. I just think someone who's willing to go up against 20 people for what they believe in speaks to their character. And that's my interpretation. And again, I am someone who doesn't find myself agreeing with her a lot. And a lot of times roll my eyes at her because I think she's, I don't know, I just sometimes feel like I get lost in what her point is. So it's interesting that I'm seeing her tell people like, wrap it up. What are you getting to? Because I feel like that about her a lot. But in this case, I just feel like she is really trying to get through to these people. And she came fully prepared. And I say this often, like when I react to Charlie Kirk, I just wish when people who were coming on the opposite side, you got to meet that same person. If you want to be right, if you want to prove your point, you got to come with the same amount of research and education and understanding about what you're talking about, and not come with emotion and sarcasm and all these things. And that's where I feel like you immediately lose in a debate if you don't meet it with those things. So I don't know. All right, what's this one? We're back on reparations. This one says reparations are in the spotlight.
We're focusing on trying to get reparations. It's been how many years since slavery? 150 years?
Congress ratified the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery in December 1865.
1865? Whenever there's a real thing that this country wants to do, they do it.
Okay. Well, first I'll start with, it will help on even just a moral level. The reality is that the United States has become very comfortable with the fact that it does not consider Black people equal. And it shows that in many ways that I'm sure we will discuss over the course of today. But ultimately, there has not been a committed, concerted effort to shifting the mindset around the use of Black people as a labor force in this nation back when it was slavery, now in the use of slavery as slave labor in prisons. So on a basic cultural level, reparations are an act of repair.
This one says, according to the Oxford Dictionary, reparation means the making of amends for a wrong one has done by paying money to or otherwise helping those who have been wronged. What I'm understanding Amanda to say is that the conversation she feels about reparations is about slavery, which was a means for slave owners to use their slaves as free labor. They would buy their slaves, they would put them to work to pick their cotton and run the fields and, harvest and things like that. And they were doing it for free in the sense that they were not paying the labor workers. They were paying for the bodies, but they were not paying the labor workers. And so Amanda's saying if we're looking at slavery as the labor force and, money business that it was, those people are owed money. Those people are no longer here. And so their lineage is owed the money, is what Amanda is saying. I'm not sure what everyone else is saying in return to that, because we're not really getting that in these quick clips, but it is clear that is Amanda's stance on reparations.
They are an effort to say, our bad, we see you now. We have seen that done with Japanese folks who were put in internment camps. We have seen that done.
Oh, what did that one say? I missed it. And I don't know. Can you go back on shorts? Okay. That one said, Sorry, I'm just trying to go back to the definition of Congress and the Reagan administration paid $20,000 to Japanese Americans who were forced into internment camps during World War II. And we see this a lot too. People talk about how other races are given something, like during COVID, there was a hate crime law that became legal because of everything that was going on against the Asian community during COVID. And the Black community, a lot of people were saying, well, what about us? There are hate crimes all the time. And so to Amanda's point, I guess she's just pointing out that other communities have been awarded something for their pain and suffering, is what Amanda is saying, or what I'm understanding she's saying.
Folks who were put in internment camps. We have seen that done with Jewish folks. We have seen that done.
The German government has paid Holocaust survivors more than $90 billion over the last 80 years, is a fact check.
Even in the case of slave owners who received reparations.
President Lincoln signed a law in 1862 that provided slave owners in D.C. up to $300 for every slave they freed. The payments were meant to end slavery in D.C. and grant freedom to almost 3,000 people. The former slaves received nothing for their previous work, nor to help them transition. That says fact check.
When it comes to the use of tax dollars to pay reparations.
He's uncomfortable because she's coming with the facts.
This is going to come up a lot today. It's a matter of values, right? For me, my value system circulates around the fact that I think that as a community, we should all be engaged in repair for our community. So I don't think there should be any problem with there being tax dollars spent at repairing consistent efforts that have been made to impede Black people.
And how long are we going to see?
I don't know if I disagree with her on that. I don't know if she's saying reparations in the form of a check, or she's saying, like I said, like, I just wish it felt like for these communities that are clearly predominantly Black, why aren't we bringing in the freaking National Guard and cleaning up the communities? You know what I mean? In any underserved community. But yeah, I'm not sure if she means write a check or just make it feel like there is value, but I understand what she's saying. And I don't know if I disagree. You know, I think at least, you know, I always say, if you're going to come to a problem with your opinion, come with some type of solution. And it seems like she's, in her mind, this is what the solution would be. Like, make the Black community feel worthy of, like, assistance, I guess, maybe. I hope I'm articulating that. All right. That is the end of the shorts from the Jubilee page. Again, I did not react to the entire thing because I'm afraid they'll take it down. I don't even know if I just wasted 31 minutes filming this and they're going to take this down. I think this is a great debate. As far as what I've seen, I don't think Amanda was beaten down or lost in this debate, but again, I only saw little clips. And I also am of the belief that these debates, there is no winner and there is no loser. There's only education and point of view. And so in that regard, like, can anyone lose? All right, as always, if you cannot write your comments, your point of view, your anything with kindness and good intention, please don't leave it here on this page. I do not commend, condone, or approve any hate, any unkindness, any nonsense. So don't leave it in my comments, all right? Please talk to me in the comments down below, though, if you plan to do it with respect and regard for others. And go and have the day you deserve. Peace.